Let me tell you how big a Boeing 777 is. It's not a small plane. A Boeing 777 is about 64 meters long, which is like the length of 15 cars lined up bumper to bumper. Its wingspan is about 61 meters. That's like the width of a football pitch. It can carry 300 to 400 passengers plus crew, luggage, cargo, everything. When fully loaded, this plane can weigh close to 300,000 kilograms, which is about the same as the weight of 200 cars. So basically, this aircraft is huge. Now imagine something that big just disappearing. In 2014, a plane carrying 239 people vanished. And with all the technology that we have today, satellites, radar, tracking, nobody has been able to find the plane. Nobody has been able to fully explain what happened. More than 10 years later, 10 years. This is one of the biggest mysteries in aviation history. Let me tell you about it. On March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines flight MH370. It took off from Kuala Lumpur heading to Beijing. There were 239 people on board. 227 were passengers, 12 were crew members. Everything about the flight, honestly, at the beginning, it seemed completely normal. The weather was fine. No reported technical problems. Nothing gave any sign that something unusual was about to happen. It was just a routine overnight flight. About 38 minutes after takeoff, the cockpit would send what would later become the aircraft's final routine message. Good night, Malaysian 370. That is a normal sign-off as the plane prepared to enter Vietnamese airspace. The message was not unusual, okay? It was fine. There was no distress call. Investigators, they later discovered that something had already started happening even before those final words were spoken. One of the aircraft's communication systems, it had already stopped transmitting minutes earlier. The system is called the ACARS, and it normally sends automatic updates about the condition of the aircraft. When this system stopped transmitting, when it stopped sending data, nobody immediately panicked because these transmissions, they are not always continuous throughout the flight. So at that moment, everything still appeared normal from the outside. Then just 3 minutes after the pilot's final words, another system stopped working. This time it was the aircraft's transponder. It stopped transmitting. Now the transponder is what allows radar to identify the plane and to display its altitude. Once the transponder stopped working, the aircraft, it became much harder to track. Investigators concluded that this system was manually switched off, which immediately raises, serious questions and suspicions because systems like this, they don't just usually stop on their own. Somebody put it off. Then the crazy part, instead of continuing towards Beijing, the aircraft changed direction completely. Military radar showed that the plane turned around and then it started flying back across Malaysia before continuing towards the west, towards the Strait of Malacca, completely opposite from where it was supposed to be going. And at that time, nobody on the ground knew that this was happening. Remember that the transponder and the ACRS are off. Families of the passengers, they still believe that their loved ones were safely on their way to Beijing. But the plane was no longer heading there. Military radar continued tracking the aircraft for almost another hour. It showed that the plane did not just disappear immediately. It kept flying. The last radar signal showed that the aircraft was heading towards the Andaman Sea. And after that, it disappeared from the radar completely. But even though the radar could no longer detect that aircraft, something was still happening in the background. So the plane was still interacting with a satellite. The satellite detected small automatic signals from the aircraft. This is sometimes described as a handshake. They are little handshakes. These signals, they don't give exact location, but they confirm that the plane is still powered on and still flying. The final satellite signal was received at 8:19 in the morning. This means that this aircraft continued flying for about 7 hours after it first disappeared from radar. 7 hours. A plane that nobody could see, nobody could contact. It was flying for 7 hours. It was going somewhere. When experts analyzed the satellite data, they concluded that the aircraft, it most likely flew south, deep into the Indian Ocean, one of the most remote places in the world, far away from airports, far away from cities, far away from normal flight routes. Investigators believe that the aircraft eventually ran out of fuel and crashed into the ocean. This is what they believe, but the exact crash location has never been confirmed. The search for MH370, it became one of the largest, most expensive aviation searches in history. Several countries became involved: Malaysia, Australia, China, the United States, the United Kingdom. Everybody was searching for this plane. Huge areas of the sea were searched, covering more than 120,000 square kilometers. That is huge. ships, aircraft, underwater equipment. They were used for years, and despite all this effort, the main wreckage has still not been found. However, some debris has been discovered. Like in 2015, a piece of the aircraft wing known as the flaperon, it was found on Reunion Island, east of Madagascar. Experts confirmed that it came from the MH370. Other possible debris pieces were later found along the coast of Mozambique, Madagascar, and Tanzania. They also looked closely at the pilot, Zahari Ahmad Shah. He was a very experienced pilot with over 18,000 hours of flying time. People who knew him said he genuinely loved aviation. Flying was not just his job, it was something that he was passionate about. He even had a flight simulator set up in his home, and he used that quite regularly. After the disappearance of the aircraft, investigators examined data recovered from his personal simulator, and this is where the case became more controversial, because some deleted files recovered from the simulator, they showed a flight path that appeared to go south towards the Indian Ocean. It was like a similar direction to where investigators believe the MH370 may have traveled. Because of this, some experts suggested the possibility that the plane may have deliberately been diverted, but investigators were not able to prove this theory without a doubt. No suicide note was found, no clear motive identified, and people close to the pilot said that they didn't notice anything. There was no indication that he was planning something like this. So while the simulator data raised questions, it didn't provide a definite answer. Another early concern involved two passengers who boarded the flight. They used stolen passports. Immediately, this raised fear of terrorism. But investigators, they later identified the men as Iranian nationals, and they believed that these men were trying to migrate to Europe illegally. Authorities did not find evidence linking them to any terrorist organizations. Because of this, terrorism was considered unlikely. Over the years, several other explanations have also, been brought forth, including aliens. To be honest, some people thought aliens abducted them. There are so many theories, but no single explanation has been confirmed. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoy stories like this, please don't forget to follow me. I tell these stories all the time on all my social media. Thank you.